Hey guys, Cat Heart, Cat's out of the bag, and I am here with Carol and Eric, the owner of Talking Crow Coffee Roasters, and we are roasting some coffee from Rwanda today. So we started with some raw beans. These are already roasted, and this is an air system. What makes this air system so special?
So it's 100% electric, no hydrocarbons used to roast coffee. It's called a fluid bed air roaster. So it basically cooks the coffee or roasts the coffee with hot air only, all electric.
And so it has to get up to a certain temperature down here, as we were looking at.
This instrument basically tells me the bean temperature. That's what this probe here tells me, the temperature of the beans at the time of roasting. For my decaf coffees, I usually start with a drop temp. Drop temp is how hot I need the air to be before I put the beans in. Drop temp on decaf is anywhere between 360 to 375 degrees. Drop temp on my regular beans is anywhere between 280 to 300 degrees.
Okay. And you have certain times, and so one thing that I thought was cool is you take small batches of the coffee beans and you roast them in small batches to determine the flavor and the
correct. So
what you want, and then you load it into a program.
Yeah. So I use what's called an Ikoa, which is a miniature version of an air roaster. Okay, it's the only miniature version that I can pretty close move the profiles from from this to my big air roaster. Most of the sample roasters are drum roasters. And so using a drum roaster to do my samples and then trying to figure out how to bring it into the air roaster is kind of pretty much impossible.
Now, in my experience with drum roasters, they get really hot and it can almost scorch the bean.
Yes, you can scorch beans. I can scorch beans with the air too.
Oh, okay.
So both of them have the exact same tendencies. Like I can burn the beans just as fast as I can in a drum roaster. Okay. The difference between drum roasters and air roasters is we're using hot air directly, and it's fluid means they're flying around like inside a popcorn.
Right. Right. Yes, it sounded like popcorn when it started
when it starts
popping.
to crack. It's like popcorn.
That's cool.
Whereas a drum roaster, you're putting the beans on a hot drum. They lay on the drum, and as the drum rotates, they drop to each side of the hot drum. Okay?
Right.
The air in the drum itself is heated, and that does the roasting itself. But that drum is very hot, so there's a chance that you can catch beans on the side of the drum and scorch them.
Got it.
If you don't have your drum speed correct.
And that's going to change the flavor of the coffee.
Yes. Anything you do, that's the wonderful thing about coffee, is every single roaster is going to give you a different taste profile. No one can roast coffee exactly the same. Each batch I roast is not going to be exactly like the roast I just previously did. There are different things that will change it. I have to watch the humidity in here. I watch the humidity and moisture content in the beans themselves. All that affects how the coffee's going to get roasted.
Sure.
Okay. We have a general profile that we go on, but anything can change it.
Yeah.
So,
so you mimic it. So you start it on the small one, and then you feed it into the program.
And then I transfer this information into my program. I use Artisan, which is an open source roasting tool, and I feed it into that. And I try to mimic what I get from the sample roaster into this, but a lot of that mimicking is after I do my samples, we cup it. And cup it is we take all the samples I roasted and we basically pour hot water over them, let them sit. You basically slurp it. You find out what the flavors that you're pulling out of that coffee, from aroma to acidity to just the overall flavor of the coffee. And so once we finish cupping, we decide which one we like the best. Then I take that coffee and try to mimic it in the coffee, the big roaster. So sometimes my first batch that I roast doesn't match it, so I have to do it again. But you know, it's fun. It's science. It's kind of geeky, and we drink a lot of coffee.